Hello, everybody, and once again, thanks for joining us on TV3 for the Spartan Sports Report. Chris Bloom, who is the head coach for the boys' tennis team, CHS, is with us. And Chris, thanks for stopping by.
No problem. I enjoy getting a chance to talk about the boys.
I imagine so. I wonder why. Why do you think? What's to talk about the boys?
I think they're doing well this year.
I think they are. Talk about it, Chris.
Right now, we're almost at the end of our season. They're 13-2. We stand at the top of the conference right now with 2 matches left this week. This would be, if we can win the next 2, the first time we went 7-0 in conference since I was coaching, which has been 9 years. So, show some growth in the program. We're a pretty deep team. We've had 9 guys play in varsity matches with only 7 spots. So we've had kids fill in through injuries, and they're all helping the team out when they get the opportunity. So it's been a really good year. The matches we've lost, we've had a different lineup than we'll play in the sectional because of injury, and we were still only lost 3-2, so we're real close in those matches. So I'm excited to see what we can do in the postseason this year, which is hopefully win the sectional and hopefully get a match or 2 up at regional. But we run into Center Grove at some point up there, and that's really tough. So
in the sectional, who's your competition?
We will play Franklin County, Union County, and Rushville, and we have we've played Rushville, beat them 5-0. We play Franklin County tonight. They had a foreign exchange student come in, and he plays their top spot, so we get to see this guy. He's supposed to be pretty good. And they have a lot of seniors, so there's some depth there too, but hopefully we're just stronger tennis players. And we play Union County next week, so we haven't seen them either.
Okay, where do you play the sectional?
We get to host the sectional.
Good.
So that's a good thing.
And that will be coming up couple of weeks?
Couple of weeks, yeah. Not this week, but next Thursday we start.
So you'll be having a lot of fans here? Yeah,
when we host our tennis matches, it's typically packed along the side of the school, and they're real close to our first courts, so it's different than most schools.
Yes.
And when the sectional comes, you bring 4 teams in. It's pretty packed up there for tennis matches.
We have a great facility.
We do.
Yes.
We do.
Yes,
they
excellent.
just, when I first took over, they had completely put in new courts up there. And they've lasted pretty well for us, but they always need a little bit of work. But they look good compared to most that we go to.
We'll give the courts a lot of credit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do they, when you have sectionals, do you have, there's like all the number 1s play, and then the number 2s, I mean, how does that work?
No, our first match, we will send out 2 singles, 3 singles, and 2 doubles, and each matchup will send those players out.
Okay.
And then when a court opens up on your side, you send 1 doubles, and then when the next court opens, you send 1 singles. That way, the matches look the same on both sides. They used to do all 5 of 1 match, and then the 1 singles would go out for the other match, and then they would just fill in as it opened. But it didn't seem right that 1 match was ahead of the other, so we do it a little different than most schools do.
Do the kids call their lines?
Yeah, the kids call their lines.
How much disagreement goes on with that?
Not as much as you would think until you start to play some schools up around Indy that tend to not be great at calling their lines, or they don't want to lose, so they'll if they're losing, they'll start saying stuff about your line calls, and then if they want to change things up, they'll call for a line judge to kind of make things uncomfortable, which we've been a part of a couple times, and we just kind of treat it as a tactic for some people, but for the most part, kids are pretty good about calling lines. Actually, they're too generous at times. We'll be sitting on the side and we're like, wow, that was out. But for the most part, they do a good job, and they're expected to handle that and together, and if they can't, then the coaches step in. But we've not had that very often. So
Good.
Late afternoon starts for the games or matches.
yeah, they're all. Did you say afternoon starts?
Okay, so they'll be under the lights, some of them?
Sometimes this late in the
Yes.
season, we can be playing. If the matches are longer, they can tend to be under the lights. So it's a neat experience actually on the tennis courts with the lights
Yes.
on. It's pretty cool out there. But around sectional time, we may have that the first night just because we only put 3 matches out. And if they go a little longer, you get to play under the lights. We've talked about at some point in time if we could schedule somebody that would want to start later so we could play under the lights. But that's kind of hard with travel and stuff like
Right.
that. So it'd take the right opponent that would.
Is there a
enjoy something.
difference between daylight and under the lights, in your opinion?
I just think I like the way it looks when you're playing under the lights.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know that it's that different. Outside of the sun can cause a lot of issues. If it's in certain places and the ball gets high in the air, it affects their eyes and
The shadows,
Yeah.
especially out there with you get the shadows across the court.
right. And at night, you don't get much of that with the way the lights are set up. They can kind of it gets rid of it. You can see the
Sure.
ball pretty well because it's a
Good.
better setting underneath the lights.
They got good lights out there. I've played, publicly out there at night, and it's they get really good lights.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
when they first put those back up, we had some of the people that lived across
Yeah.
the
Oh,
street
they're probably too bright.
complaining
Yeah.
because they were so bright and they
Yeah.
kind of like
So,
turned them a
dimmed
little bit to help. So they work well.
I haven't been out there in a while. Are the courts green or blue? I haven't been out there in a while.
They're green.
Oh, they're still okay.
They're green, yes, with red around the
it, yeah.
outsides.
Yeah.
A lot of schools are going to, how
blue.
basketball courts change.
Oh, yeah.
They're going like, there's some blue.
Yeah.
There's some that are red with gray on the outside.
Oh, wow.
There's just,
Yeah.
you can do a lot of things.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
some of them are okay and some of them
Yeah.
are like, whoa.
Yeah.
Tell us more about your players.
My one singles player that is a senior is Colton DeBoard. This would be his 4th year. He has been probably the most successful player that I have coached throughout his whole career. I think he lost 1 match at 2 doubles his freshman year with Luke Morris, and then they made a deep run in the tournament individually at 1 doubles his sophomore year and got all the way to the championship match of individual regionals, which got up against Parturer and lost. So I think he only lost a few matches that year. And last year played 1 singles for me, and this year he's 1 singles again. Colton walked into tennis and started to do things that we don't see players do until they are more advanced and upperclassmen. So he just had a natural feel for playing the game. He has been injured for portions of the season. We've been dealing with trying to help him with his back. So he's not been 100% for most of the year, but he'll still hold the spot down for us. And what he is doing, hopefully he's well enough to finish the season for us. And it keeps other players in spots they're very successful in. So Anthony Struing plays 2 singles for us. He's a sophomore, lives on the courts. He's a diehard tennis player. This is all he does. And he's filled in at 1 singles for us quite a bit when Colton sat out to rest. And so he's got a lot of experience there, and he wins his spot. I think the 2 singles spot this year, he's only lost 1 time that he's played it. He's lost a couple times at 1 singles, but has been very successful there. Clayton Roselle plays 3 singles. This is his 3rd year in the varsity lineup. And last year he was my 2 singles player. And him and Anthony has beat him, and they kind of switched spots this year. And Clayton has not lost at 3 singles. He's lost a couple times at 2 singles, but come sectional time and regional time, they're going to be back in their spots, which is the hopes. Maddox Reese and Abel Parsley play my one double spot together. Maddox is a junior, Abel's a freshman. They're playing one of the tougher spots there. He's not new to the game. He's played. His dad plays quite a bit, so he's not new to the game. This is Maddox's second year. So they're playing some tough teams at one doubles. They've lost a handful of times, but they're getting better. They do a lot of good things. And then our two double spot has changed a little bit. It started out Parker Thumb, who played two doubles for me last year. He's a junior, and Jay McMullen, who is a freshman. And then Logan Young has been playing it since the second week of the season. And they've only lost one time at two doubles all year. So we have, when we're successful and we're whole, we're winning two singles, three singles, and two doubles consistently. And that shows our depth. And then let's highlight Brant Likens has played about 6 matches or so at three singles for us. And that's when Colton's not playing, people bump up. So he's filled in at that spot. I think that he is above 500. And for a guy that's not in the lineup that gets thrown into it, he's done really well. And he's fought for that opportunity to play the spot when it's available. So we've had 9 guys play in the lineup, and we're successful still. And I've never had this much in and out and switching of positions in 9 years. And they're taking it and just going with it. So
it's a real luxury for coaches to have that kind of talent, isn't it?
we're not complaining.
Okay.
We made the statement early on to parents. This might be the most difficult year for us as coaches, though, because of the depth, that it won't seem like any decision we make is the right decision when it comes to 1, 2, and 3 singles will play for spot. You play heads up. And at doubles, it's hard to do that because you're looking at chemistry, you're looking at different skills coming together, you're looking at some kids can play doubles and some kids can play singles, and they're more successful in one or the other. Mm-hmm. And then when you switch them over, you're like, well, that's the better player in singles, but they're not the better player in doubles. Mm-hmm. And so there's guys taking on roles that they're better suited for doubles. So we said, support your kids. They're going to be frustrated at times because it might not make as much sense, but they get on the courts together. They know who's performing a little bit better than the other. And a lot of our guys, I mean, we said if they would play for other schools, they would be playing at the top of their lineups. So it is great to have depth. It is difficult to have depth when you only have 7 spots to play, and it's not basketball or football where you can sub in for 5 minutes, bring them out. Mm-hmm. Everybody's happy because they're getting to play. So it's a whole different beast to manage, but they've done a great job, and they've not complained or made it known that it is a problem. They're supportive of their teammates.
Good.
And they're all a part. It doesn't matter the 7 guys that play for the sectional. They've all been a part of getting us to that point. Mm-hmm. So,
you know, people, when you talk about injuries, people look at tennis and they think, boy, it's a really, you just think it over the net. But it's a very physical game. That's why you get guys. I mean, nowadays Federer played till he was 40-something. Novak's still playing, but you get people burning out. 30, 32 years old. They're injured, or they're severe injuries, and they're out when they're 23 years old. Mm-hmm. So back injury, affects your serve. What other injuries do the kids suffer?
We've seen
because they're playing on concrete.
They're playing on concrete, which oddly. We have not seen so many leg injuries.
Yeah, that's the first thing I would think. Which
you would think. Yeah. We've had a couple of ankle rolls.
Yeah.
But being on concrete, now we give them. We don't try to get into season. We're trying to manage the amount of physicality that's going on in practice because we have so many matches in a week that we try to taper off quickly and allow them to work on skills, but to not play so much in practice to just wear them out.
Right.
Most of the things that we see they deal with are possibly shoulders, wrist, sometimes the elbow, but a lot of shoulder and a lot of wrist. And Colton's, we've had a couple deal with a little bit of back issue, and it affects everything, which affects their movement and ability to bend. So you need flexibility in tennis. But a lot of our guys, it depends on their motion.
Yeah.
If they're throwing a shoulder first, which is not what you want to do, they're going to have pain that's about their technique. And in order to be better at things, you have to put some repetition into that. Yeah. So that's the tough part when you're like, well, we've got to improve these things, and then managing the fact that they're hurting or sore. Right. But yeah, I would think that legs would be our first one. Yeah. We're not dealing with that so much as opposed to the other areas of the body. And I think it might be the amount of repetition that goes on from the summer to the fall that we get to put in.
You know, you'd see, and Novak Djokovic does this a lot. Of course, even though it's hard court out in Australia, New York, it's not the same hard court that you guys play on, where they can slide into the point like they're on clay, and it's like, oh, kids, please don't try that.
Yeah.
You know, out there on our courts, because it's a totally different surface. But I would love it if I know it costs a whole lot of money to do a clay court, but so that way us old people can play a little bit longer, because getting out on that concrete's hard, and these kids, if they can play it. But has anybody ever thought about? Has any school ever thought, well, let's get a different surface?
No, I don't think so, because they wouldn't play it for postseason and things. I don't know that they have. It'd be cool to have one.
Yeah. Or even grass. I mean.
Yeah, that's the one I've thought about, because that would probably be a simpler one to do, which would be neat to experience it. But not even the indie schools to have that outside of maybe a few clubs up there that would have a clay court, and they do. But I don't think that anybody's went to that.
That'd be probably too much money.
Who helps you coach?
It is wishful thinking.
Who are your assistants?
Well, this year I have 4 guys that are helping. Bill Wilhoit's been around for a long time. Bill helps me. He's my basically lead assistant. He's been there with me. I think he came along my second year. He was walking around the courts, and I'm like, are you wanting to, I know you had helped before. You're like, I would really love to have you out here. And
he's a great man.
We've built a great relationship together through tennis. I always tell him I wish he would have been a part of the tennis program when I was playing. He does so well with the boys, and he's a great teacher. Having 3 daughters that came through and were very successful tennis players. Mike Davis is another person that helps. Mike he's been around for about 4-ish years. He helps with the girls as well. Him and Bill help with the girls. And then Garrett Crow helps me. He teaches with me up at Grandview when I'm up there. He played tennis at Franklin County. He's kind of like part-time help, and he does a great job with the boys. And then Adam Parsley helps as well. His son plays. Adam's my age. We grew up together. He played a lot of tennis. He didn't play on the team. He was homeschooled, but he brings a lot of knowledge. And so early on, we had so much help out there that we got a lot done. And we have 20 kids on the team. So there needs to be a lot of people out there willing to put time in. And in tennis, there's not that many people with tennis backgrounds running around in Connersville. So we've got a lot of them out there right now.
You wouldn't be successful without these assistants, would you?
Nope. I've said that from the get-go. If we don't have those dedicated to helping, one person couldn't do that. Sure. And so we always say the kids, when they bring the energy and they bring the focus, it allows those that are around to help them. And so without their help, none of the success would really take place, because we wouldn't get much done.
It's a great tennis program at CHS, and looks like things are going to be good for several seasons with all these young guys playing and getting experience. We
would hope so. We'll graduate 3 seniors this year, 2 that play in the lineup, and we have 13 on the JV right now, a bunch of sophomores and freshmen. So the program will be in a good place for a while. And if kids that want, this is a great place to be in because they know just based off of this year that you could get a spot to start the season, but other kids are going to fight for those spots. And sometimes when you don't get what you think you were going to get, and you actually make a big jump because you're like, it's not mine. I got to go get this. And so they actually let go of being concerned about just winning, and they actually grow in the game. And we've had that with a couple kids, and we're hoping that happens with a few of our sophomores this year going into next year, because they look like they were going to be fighting for spots this year, and that didn't necessarily pan out. But if they're willing to put the time into it and the focus to improving, we could have the same thing again next year where we have 9, 10, 11 kids looking to be in the lineup, which is hard but is great because that means we're going to be successful.
Sure.
If you're in the lineup, you don't get to be stagnant with what you have. You have to keep growing too, or you're going to lose your spot.
That's right.
Great tennis program at CHS. And this week, by the way, the tennis will be Franklin County on Monday. The girls' varsity soccer will be at Centerville on Monday. Boys' varsity soccer will be at home with Greensburg on Friday. JV and varsity volleyball home with Richmond on Monday. And JV football will be away at Rushville for a Monday evening ball game. On Tuesday, the boys' varsity tennis will be home with East Central at 5. Boys' JV and varsity soccer will be at Anderson at 6. JV and varsity volleyball at Cambridge City Lincoln at 6 o'clock. On Thursday, JV and varsity volleyball at East Central beginning at 5:30. JV and varsity soccer will be at Oldenburg Academy starting at 5:30. Girls JV varsity and varsity soccer will be home against Lawrenceburg starting at 5:30. On Friday, varsity football at North Decatur at 7 o'clock. On Saturday, it will be a cross-country home invite with Batesville, Lincoln, Centerville, Covenant Christian, East Central, Franklin County, Indianapolis Lutheran, Nicetown, North Decatur, Northeastern, Richmond, Rushville, Cecina, Speedway, Tri, and Union County at 9 o'clock in the morning. Where are they all going to park, Chris?
That's not my problem to deal with.
Somebody else's problem. What a great week of sports at CHS.
Yeah, it's a busy time right now.
Everybody's busy. Last week, Scores varsity soccer beat Franklin County 4-2 and Union County 7-0, but lost to Richmond 5-3. Girls varsity soccer beat Anderson 9-1, tied with Shelbyville 1-1, and lost to South Dearborn at 4-3. Boys varsity tennis beat Rushville 5-0, but lost to Newcastle 3-2 and Waldron 1-2. Eastern Indiana football conference scores, we might run through those. East Central is 3-2. They beat Batesville 4-1. The game will be coming up. Batesville will be on the Spartan schedule later this season. Lawrenceburg is 4-1. They're over Franklin County by a 35-27 score. Franklin County is 2-3 right now. Rushville is 3-2. They beat the Spartans, who are 2-3, 44-8. South Dearborn is 4-1. They're over Greensburg, and Greensburg is a score of 0-5. So they've been shut out all season. Not good, is it, to be shut out?
No.
Tough on the kids, isn't it, Chris?
Yeah, it makes it hard moving forward when you're not winning, but that's when you're looking at little successes along the way. They add up to the wins.
And the kids are trying. I mean, that's the schedule, the record doesn't tell everything.
Yeah, I think that it just kind of depends on the culture. Some cultures can fight through not winning because they're harping on the right things and the day-to-day things, and that the wins will finally take place. But some cultures can't handle it.
Sure. You have to keep working.
Yeah.
That's the main thing. Areas, we've got 5 area football teams around here, and Cambridge City is 1-4. They'll be playing at Nicetown on Friday. Centerville is 5-0. They're the undefeated team in the area, and they'll be playing on Friday night. They'll be taking on Northeastern. Franklin County is 2-3. They lost to Greensburg in their ball game. Richmond is 0-5. They have yet to win a ball game, and Richmond will be playing at Lafayette Jeff on Friday. Rushville is 3-2. Of course, they will be taking the road trip to LaPel to keep their season going. And Union County is 0-5. So those youngsters are having a lot of trouble at Union County right now. And the Spartans are 2-3, and they'll be playing at North Decatur. Where is Decatur, Chris? You know.
By Greensburg.
Yeah, right before Greensburg.
Right before you get there.
So they'll be
Right
playing,
before you go into Greensburg.
playing there Friday night and hoping to even up the season.
Yeah. They've had a couple of tough games recently, and so
Yes.
you know,
We're due.
you're hoping that they can put something together and get a little bit of confidence back.
That would be a great confidence builder as a victory, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, because then we got a tough stretch after this game.
They've got 3
top three
tough
in
games.
conference.
Yeah, we got East Central, Batesville, and Lawrenceburg. So
Batesville,
those are the top,
all with
as Chris said.
tough teams to meet.
Yeah.
But the
East Central's
Spartans
heating up
keep working
as
at it,
usual.
and the tide will turn one of these days.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I firmly believe, Coach Lynch is creating the right atmosphere. And so it'll come. There's no doubt.
The kids have never given up. They play hard. They play smart.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's all you can ask of a kid, isn't it, Chris?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Just give your all. Be willing to be taught,
Right.
and
When
things will turn around.
when you talk about that, and you were talking about getting into those little bad habits, sometimes, because I love tennis. Tennis is my favorite sport. Yeah, believe it or not, I used to be in shape, and I used to run around that tennis court a lot. And it becomes such a muscle memory that we tend to get into those bad habits when we don't know we're in a bad habit. The results tell us we're in a bad habit, but to know, unless we have somebody telling us, hey, you're slumping over where you're serving, or you're throwing the ball back too much over your head, or you're opening up too much on your forehand. And those are things you need to see for the kids, and then they got to execute it.
Yeah.
But finding that chemistry on doubles, that's got to be that's got to be a tough part of your job.
Yeah, it is. But we try to get it to we need kids to talk to each other. We need them to communicate what they see as well, because they can adjust it in the middle of things. Mm-hmm. And if they're seeing it from their teammates, they can adjust themselves because they're understanding what they're looking for. So we try to grow some kids that can teach themselves and teach others. This is not just us. And I think of that in any sport. They've got to be able to assess what's going on very quickly. Yeah. And it can't just be the coach. That's what practice and things are for, and you make fine adjustments, but they've got to adjust on the go. Mm-hmm. And if they can do that, that's when you see the very successful teams and athletes. It's because they can analyze and assess it quickly.
Are you allowed to coach during the game?
You can coach in between points. You can say a few things real quickly. You can coach on changeovers.
Okay.
So
right.
The middle school doing well?
They are. We've got numbers. I think we've got like 8 boys, which is a good number. You don't need 50 of them running out there, but we have enough, and we've got some kids that are excited about the sport.
Chris, best of luck in the matches that remain on the schedule. And, of course, when sectionals comes, we know you'll pack the area with fans, and it should be a great time.
Yep, hopefully we can get that 3rd one in a row this year.
Yeah.
Chris Bloom, it's always a pleasure to have you on the program. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks, everybody, for watching this edition of the Spartan Sports Report here on TV3. Have a nice evening.